Okay. Before we get started, I'm going to need Stella. Stella!
Already.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I need her because she's my new primary partner,
No.
apparently.
Oh my God.
I have a new primary partner. So this week, my wife told me that I'm no longer her primary partner. And she didn't want to be my primary partner. So I'm open. I'm taking taking DMs now. Get me on like MySpace or whatever the kids use these days.
Yeah.
Find me on Napster and on BearShare and LimeWire.
Like
you can find me there.
Version of the truth.
Well, you did tell me you didn't want to be my primary partner, so
in one aspect,
that's too late.
I think I should be able to explain myself and give context. As we've discussed before, Matt's other hobby besides novel writing and podcasting is building a barbecue pit smoker.
Logical.
Out of a 250-gallon propane tank in our backyard. He's been working on it for 5 years now.
Logical connection.
Since the days of COVID. It was his COVID project, and his dad had been working on it.
80% there, Andrea.
So close.
Making so much brisket for you.
And I think
But you know what? As my non-primary, you can be secondary. You didn't even say you'd be my secondary partner. Wow. Tertiary partner?
Can I?
Quaternary
So I
partner?
think the fact that you are so close to finishing it, I've been thinking more about the reality of what life is going to look like once this is finished. And I just didn't know like what your vision was for it. And so you've talked about like barbecue pop-ups on the weekends. And when I started thinking through the logistics of that, of like working a 40-hour week and then
not loving your husband,
spending the weekend prepping and cooking and serving and then cleaning barbecue, that just doesn't sound like a weekend.
Do we need to have this out right here?
So you brought it up, so I'm giving context to explain myself. So I just told you, I said there's something I want to share with you, and I asked if this was a safe space. I don't think you're not taking it very well.
It's a safe space until you tell me you don't want to be my primary partner.
That's not. I just said that that doesn't sound like something I would like to do regularly. And if there was somebody who wanted to be your primary partner in the barbecue industry, not in life, that I would love that and that I could help. Or if you like retire me and I just stop working, then I would love to sling barbecue on the weekend.
That's always the answer for you.
I mean, I'm just keeping it out there. It's always on the table. But that was all I was trying to say, is that I wanted to set realistic expectations that I do not want to be spending every weekend serving barbecue and doing all the, my brain's just going to all the logistics of the prep work and the cleanup and all this stuff. And it just feels exhausting. And even though it's fun and I know you love it, I just can't be your primary partner.
Well, the plan was never to do it every weekend.
Okay.
The plan is maybe once or twice, like take orders, have Jackson drive them out to people.
Yeah.
Have pre-order stuff.
Okay.
And that food would be cooked during the week. So it would just be prep.
So maybe in retrospect, instead of confessing to you how I was feeling, I should have asked questions. I should have sought to understand.
Maybe.
Hey, what's your vision? What is your vision? So, well, lesson learned. I do still want to be your primary partner in life.
Too late. Stella is now my primary partner. And she definitely wants to be my primary barbecue partner.
I bet you better than come get her mic'd up so then she can do this podcast with you, because I gotta go if that's the case.
She would if I asked her to. But so anyway, if anybody's looking for a new primary partner, I'm open.
Well, I was now this just, I was missing you so much while I was on my trip and couldn't wait to tell you about it.
That's the other thing. You just got back from this fancy trip and you come in and you tell me that. And I'm like, wow.
I got too much time alone.
You got too much time alone. Yeah. Too comfortable.
No, I just got back from the most incredible trip to Florida, to the Keys with my sister. She lives in Kentucky, and I hadn't seen her in 3 years, which was absolutely unacceptable. And so we were so lucky to get to take a trip down there. Our dad is building a house down there, and we thought it might be ready, but it wasn't quite ready. And then he surprised us and booked this amazing condo in Key West, right off Duval Street. It was just perfect. We had the most phenomenal time.
Duval Street's like the party street.
Yeah, it's like Bourbon Street in New Orleans and stuff. It's all the bars. You just kind of walk, and they've got stores and restaurants, and it's so much fun. And so we would spend the days at the beach and the nights on Duval Street, and we had a convertible. We got this cool, cute little Mustang convertible, and we would drive around the island at night and just take in the sights and cruise. And then my big thing that I did while I was there. So 3 years ago, I've talked a little bit about like my health and wellness journey and my significant weight loss. So 3 years ago, when all that was getting started, I'd set a goal. A lot of this was surrounding my 40th birthday being a little over a year away at the time, and wanting to really start the new decade in a great place. And so I set a goal to skydive for my 40th birthday. It was something I wanted to do. I love thrill stuff. I like roller coasters and things, but I was 75 pounds over the weight limit at that point. And so that was one of my first goals in my mind, was losing weight to get under the weight limit to skydive for my 40th birthday. And so this was the first chance that I've been back in the Keys, which is where my dad had suggested skydiving. He said it's just one of the most beautiful places. And so that's what I've been working towards. And so this was the first time I'd been back since losing my weight and since turning 40. And so I booked it and I did it. I went skydiving.
You did it.
I did it. It was the most incredible experience.
You said you weren't scared at all. Zero fear.
I wasn't.
You didn't once think about the parachute not opening?
No, I didn't. I was so calm. Well, that was funny. On the way up, I told the guy that was like my instructor, I said, I just feel so calm. And he said, wait till the door opens. And that was the scariest part, was that wind hitting you when the door opens and your brain goes, what am I doing? But I was just so excited, and I'd worked so hard to get to that point. And I paid to get the photo and video. So that was really fun to share with everybody. And it really feels more like flying than falling. You don't experience the falling sensation. And they said your brain just really doesn't know what to do with it because you've never experienced anything like it. And so it was just gorgeous. And once you fall for about 30 seconds, the parachute deploys, and then it's just a gliding, this beautiful
How high
trip
did you
down.
go?
I think you jump from about 10,000 feet,
nice.
And then they pull the parachute at 5,000 feet.
Well, then you're over the beautiful Keys, and you're
my God, it was just phenomenal being able to look out over all the little islands and the water, and and it was just really emotional just thinking of the journey to get there, and just being so appreciative of everybody like you, my primary partner, who's been such a good cheerleader. Supported me, and just proud of myself and what I did. So that was really cool. And being down there gave me so many ideas for our book, because it was just gorgeous and everything felt so romantic and just magical.
And you got to read on the beach?
Got to read on the beach, and everybody that I met, I'm like, ooh, could we use your name in the book? Could we use your name?
What were you reading on the beach?
I was reading a book called In the New York Minute by Kate Spencer. Yeah, it was really cute. It was a fun one. It was about a girl that gets fired from her job and runs into this very handsome man wearing a Gucci suit on the subway, that then the doors close and it rips her dress up the backside, and he gives her his jacket. And so somebody's taking pictures unbeknownst to them, and they go viral. And so it's kind of their story.
Sounds like a meet cute to me.
A super meet cute. Yeah. But I will say, I don't know if you ruined this for me.
Oh, no.
I told you last time.
It's like you ruined barbecue for me.
We'll call it even. But I told you when you taught me the 10 story beats, I'm like, I kind of want to stick my fingers in my ears and just la la la, because I was kind of naive to it. And when I read stories or I watch shows, I just go along for the ride, and I'm not thinking about story structure or plot lines or anything like that. And so those beats, they popped up in my head as I was reading, of like, oh, here's the big separation. Okay, here comes the grand gesture. So I'm like, I hope it hasn't jaded me in reading. I did I very much enjoyed it.
Maybe we shouldn't do the 3-act movie structure then, because that'll really.
I know.
People who are movie people.
I asked you to teach me, but now I'm kind of having second thoughts. Maybe I don't want to learn anymore. But no, I'm mostly teasing. But I felt like, I guess, a little smarter, being like, oh, I know what this is. Like, I know this plot device, or I know why this is. Why this is important.
I think more than anything, you appreciate it differently. You can appreciate the media and how the art is done, but you can also appreciate how they put it together and thought through.
Yeah.
The pacing is such a big thing in our books, and
huge,
and even movies and things it just.
And it made me think a lot too about the characters and character development and what we knew about them.
Absolutely.
So I was just consuming it in a different way, which was still fun. But reading on the beach is never a bad thing. And then while we were there, we also had the very exciting thing that Annabelle Monaghan, our author of the week from last week,
that's true,
responded to us when we were posting about her being our author of the week on the episode. She listened to it, she shared it, so we're just so grateful for that. That was really exciting.
So welcome new listeners. We had a bunch of new listeners.
If you came to us through Annabelle, we're so grateful. Welcome. I guess we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah, we usually do it after the music.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to start with the music? It's like we've never done this before. Episode 8, and we're brand new to this. Okay, we'll start with our beautiful wedding theme song. It's just so beautiful. It's my favorite. So I'm Andrea.
And I'm Matt.
We are a married couple. We've been together. We've been married 20 years this year, and married, stop with the ooze.
Every time.
Together for 25 in April. And
high school sweethearts, theater nerds.
Yeah, absolutely. Met in 10th grade. Yep. And our boys are 13 and 17. Yep. And so as we are getting closer to being empty nesters and just seeing what the next chapter of our life looks like, we've decided to write a romance novel together. And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth in this episode of how that all came about because of who we're spotlighting this week and what big things she has going on. But that's something we've been working on for a little over a year. And Matt had the idea to start this podcast to document that process.
Just document the process. Because we can talk structure. We can talk about naming characters, which is something we're going to do today. You talked about naming earlier. But I guess, all right. Let me add a drum roll in here for you.
I'm so excited.
We're not an Abby Jimenez fan cast. That's not the point of this.
Not in title.
Well, not in title.
Maybe
apparently.
In heart.
But definitely your favorite author.
For sure.
And what we started reading together first.
Absolutely.
And this week's a big one.
She is our author of the week, and she is releasing her 7th novel, Say You'll Remember Me, this Tuesday, April 1st. It is not an April Fool's joke. Mm-hmm. She is releasing her book. We are so excited. We've been waiting months, and we want to talk a little bit about her and her background, her biography, but also how I found her and how we found her as a couple and reading and how she's inspired us on this process of writing a book. And that we already have a little bit of a peek behind the curtain for this book because we were lucky enough to get picked to read an advanced reader copy.
So this episode of the podcast, we're going to do a huge chunk of Abby talk here. And then we'll do a medium amount of talking about naming our characters because we've had some talks about it ourselves. We've got a list of names to talk to each other about. And we can kind of finish off the podcast with that.
Yeah, we said last time our goal for this week was going to be naming the 2 sisters in our book. So we have our lead female, and then we've discussed her sister, who we've decided is some kind of a celebrity. And then the lead female is the manager to the sister in her career. Mm-hmm. And so we're fleshing that out. But we are hoping to name them today if we can get to it.
At least get there. Get as close as we can.
Yes. But let's start with Abby. Mm-hmm. You know I always want to start with Abby. Abby Jimenez.
Wait, do we need a theme song?
Oh my goodness.
Do we need it?
Do you have something off the top of your head?
What was last week's? It was more of like a beatboxy thing.
I don't want to rehash that. Honestly.
What about, hey, it's the author of the week.
Oh, okay. I had a little Tenacious D vibe there. I like it. A little Jack Black.
Hey. See?
Okay.
Is that something?
Yeah. No, go ahead and produce that.
Okay, I'll keep going.
Together. And our author of the week is Abby Jimenez.
Woo!
We're so excited.
It's true.
Abby, her story is just a masterclass in reinvention and passion and just setting your mind to something and doing it. She has such an incredible story. Her and her husband were living in California, and she was working in retail management.
I was going to stop you for half a second. Do you want to talk about why Abby's so important to us?
Should I start there before I talk about her?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny. I was thinking this morning about how did I even find her? And it was actually your cousin that posted it on her Instagram story when she was reading yours truly.
Nice.
And I wish I'd screenshot it or known at the time how important that post was going to become in my life and in our life. But she was reading yours truly or had just finished it and she just raved about it. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, I trust her opinion. I'll add this to my list. And then had the chance to rent it through my Libby app through my library and just fell in love. I was so obsessed with it.
Yeah, I remember you found the first book, which is like, what, 5 of 6 or something? Like
yeah, actually, I didn't know it at the time. It was
all that sort of thing.
book.
And then you just ate up the rest of them. I remember you just flew through the rest of
devoured
the
them.
Abby
So
books.
yeah, I read that first one, and all of her books are standalones. You can read them in any order, but I didn't realize that they're all in the same universe, and so you see characters pop up in different books. And so after I read Yours Truly, which was the fifth book, then I went back and read them in order after that. And then I actually reread them a second time. And now we're working on reading them together a third time. But what I loved, I think what I connected with so much about Yours Truly, it was different than other like romance novels that I'd read because it was so real. The characters had so much depth and there was so much just real life connection. This just felt like people that you would know. And what I really loved, and not to spoil too much, I know I've talked about it a little bit before, but what I really loved was seeing a male lead who was dealing with his anxiety and handling it in such a grown way, and talking about all of the things that he did in his life, all of his habits and routines that helped him with his anxiety. And so I really, really liked that. I really liked the relationship between those lead characters and just seeing how that developed and how she became such a support to him. And so that I just was hooked. And so I went back and started reading and just really, fell for her writing and the characters, and just every book is like that. The depth of the characters and just these real life topics. And we'll kind of get into each one. But
then after you read the series basically twice, and then where were we when you offered?
We were at the beach.
We were at the beach.
So we had gone gone on a little vacation, just the two of us, and I was rereading her second book, Happy Ever After Playlist, for the second. I was reading her second book for the second time. And you asked me to just read a little bit of it to you, like, oh, read to me what you're reading. And so I read it, and the scene was a good one. It was a good spicy scene. Which was one of my favorites of the book. It's just visually sounds very beautiful where they're at and everything. Again, I don't want to give away spoilers because I want everybody to go read these books and experience it. But once we got back from the trip, you said, I really enjoyed that. I liked reading with you. And one day I came home and you surprised me. It was like the greatest day ever. You were my, as Abby would call it, you were my cinnamon roll. So that's what she calls the guys in her book. She describes cinnamon rolls as a hero who is sweet, kind, and generally a good guy that the reader is drawn to and loves. And so you are my cinnamon roll.
Oh.
And I came home and you had bought me a pair of shoes that I had been kind of coveting. And you had my book, Yours Truly, on the table. And I was surprised first by the shoes, but then I'm like, why is this book out? And you were like, I think I'm going to read it. I want to read it. I know you like it so much. Oh my gosh, you just couldn't have said anything to get straight to my heart faster. And so that's when you were telling me, and I really liked reading together. Do you want to just do that and read together?
I love that because, we've been together forever and we just have and always have had very separate interests and hobbies.
Yeah.
And not that we didn't support each other in the other hobbies or things, but we didn't have many things that we shared. TV shows and stuff, of course, the normal stuff, couple things. But my ADHD brain, I have 1 million hobbies. And they are always, we just had different hobbies. And so when we started reading together, I love that time together. And I love our closeness and our ability to talk about these things. Even more than like a TV show or something. It was more just deeper, right?
Yeah, I think it led to really great discussions. And so we started with Yours Truly. We would basically, like, once the kids went to bed at night, then we would sit for maybe 30 minutes and just read. And then we would just find ourselves discussing the characters or the plot. And
that's we would go to dinner and read.
Yeah. Oh, that was always so fun, having the little date nights, reading at the table. But I think that was what was fun too, is you saying, like, my gosh, these books are just a guidebook for men. Like you were saying, all men should read these.
Yes, it doesn't. Yeah, fellas out there, read a couple of these books and, you won't be that cheese ball on the dating app anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure it out. Oh, this is what.
You'll know.
What's the old running joke? Men written by women type thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you know exactly what women want. And so you said that if something ever happened to you, I've got a manual here.
I've got a manual. Can I tell you the cutest part though, and the thing that we talked even about last night as you were reading? You used to listen to the audiobook before, like, reading.
Because I was nervous to read in front of you. I hadn't read to anybody other than like the boys when they were little. So I would listen to the audiobook before we would read, like, that night. So that way I kind of knew the context of what was happening, or, it just helped me to kind of animate these characters as I was reading. And we're theater nerds.
Yeah.
Can't help it. But now that we've read through so many books, I don't do that anymore.
We've
a safe space.
Primarily read Abby books together.
Mostly, yeah. We've read a couple, but now we've read almost all of her books. We're finishing Life's Too Short because we kind of read out of order. We read Yours Truly, and then I let you hear a little bit of the Just for the Summer, and you were like, "Oh, I actually like that. Let's keep reading." And so then we looped back to the beginning, read Friend Zone and Happy Ever After Playlist, and then we got the opportunity to read the arc of Say You'll Remember Me that's coming out on Tuesday,
which is why we're doing our big Abby show today.
Yeah, all about Abby.
All that to say, let's go back to talking about Abby and less about us now.
Well, now we've picked it back up and we're finishing Life's Too Short, and then your last one will be Part of Your World, which is also one of my favorites. Wow. Yeah, and then you'll have read them all.
Wow.
And then we'll see if you're like me and you want to just read them all again. But so Abby, they, back in like 2007, she was living in California with her husband Carlos, and they had 3 young daughters. She was actually pregnant with the 3rd, and she lost her job in retail management. And so she was just at home with these kiddos, and honestly, she's described herself as just being kind of depressed in that time, and just feeling flustered and struggling to make ends meet and pay bills. She took a couple of cake decorating classes at Michael's and really just loved it and was very creative and started like baking at home and started baking and selling for friends. And so for 2 years, she ended up running what she called Nadia Cakes. Nadia is her middle daughter. She ran that out of her home for 2 years.
So it's like if somebody had a barbecue business that they ran out of their home for a couple of years.
But she wasn't working at the time. So yes, that's what she did.
It does sound like she had a primary partner though in this whole together.
She does say Carlos is her biggest support. He is such the cinnamon roll. And she even says when they talked about opening this business that she's actually the very risk averse person. And he's the one who's encouraging and just like, you can do this. You've got this. So I just love that. We were lucky enough to meet both of them at an author event last year. And he was there. He doesn't really like to appear on social media, but he was very sweet. And just the entire time that we saw them, he was just orbiting her, making sure she was good, taking pictures for fans, going down the line, checking in with people, just the ultimate support to her. But they did this for 2 years. And basically she said she just got to a point because she had these little kids at home. They're just climbing all over her. And she told him, look, people who do this either have a bakery or they have a daycare.
Right.
So they opened a bakery. They went and begged and got a loan and then put the rest of like $125,000 on credit cards and opened a Nadia Cakes in Palmdale, California. And it was just huge. Like within a couple of weeks, Carlos quit his job to help full time as the CFO with the finance piece. And they had lines around the block. And then not long after that, she competed on Food Network's Cupcake Wars. And I just watched this episode recently. It's on, it's still online. You can see it, but she ended up winning.
Yeah, we watched that.
Yeah, she won. She won $10,000. She talked about how she's super competitive, and it was a Rose Bowl episode for the Rose Bowl. And so she made this big Rose Bowl display, but that gave a huge spotlight to her business. And so not long after that, a few years later, they ended up deciding they wanted to relocate the family. And so she said that basically they wanted to move somewhere with seasons. And so the whole family packed up and took like a 5-week road trip where they drove through 23 states, and they ended up landing in Minnesota and just feeling like it was really nice. And so they moved there and then expanded. So they still have the Palmdale store, but then they opened 2 locations in Minnesota in Maple Grove and Woodbury. So we've
been talking about this. Go ahead.
I want to take a Minnesota trip so bad because in all of her books, she writes about Minnesota and LA.
Yeah.
But I've highlighted all these restaurants and places, these beautiful spots.
You have a list in your phone of all the different places from Abby's books that we can go.
So I think it'd be so fun to take an Abby trip to Minnesota. And then also one of the things they talk about in Happy Ever After Playlist is going up to the boundary waters at the border of Minnesota and Canada. Awesome. So I think it'd be so cool to go up and hire a guide to take us out and like go see moose or whatever, maybe go fishing. Meese? I don't think so. I think that's mice, right?
Mises.
And so anyways, I think it would be so cool. But yeah, that's where they settled with their daughters. And that's when she kind of started thinking about writing. So she, which it's kind of funny talking about Nadia Cakes though, because it's still so popular, and they do all kinds of specials. Like they're doing April Fool's Day specials right now, where some of it, like some of the cupcakes look like spaghetti and meatballs, or like the dish sponge, like the green dish sponge, with like soap on top of it. Funny. They're so funny. But they actually went viral. There's so many ways that like Abby has been in my life for years, and I didn't realize it was her. So they went viral for they were known for creating these like geode cakes that looked like, how you crack like a geode open and there's like crystal. Well, one of them apparently went viral for looking like a certain female body part, and they called it the Vageode cake.
Nice.
And one thing too about Abby, she is a master of social media, and oh my goodness, she was managing all the comments online and just handled that with so much grace and humor. And so that's one way that you may have heard of her back in the day. That was Nadia Cakes. She also has dogs that have their own like TikTok accounts and things. Tess is a poodle pointer. She's like a German hunting dog, short-haired hunting dog. That's kind of rare, but they have her, and then they have Stuntman Mike, who's a character in the Friend Zone, her first book. And so I actually had seen videos and sent them to you of Tess and Stuntman Mike on TikTok.
I know it.
Before I'd ever read her books and knew that was her. So like I said, she is just a master of everything she attempts. I'm like, girl, have you ever failed in your life? Because just everything you touch turns to gold. But so then she started thinking about writing, and she is somebody who says, like, I never went to college, I never went to culinary school, and she's doing these things. She's this successful writer now.
I love it.
She was really inspired by her high school writing teacher, and that's a whole other thing that just went viral recently. She got back in contact with him and was able to tell him how just influential he was in her life, which, as me as a teacher, I was just sobbing through that, thinking of all the ways that teachers impact kids' lives. And so just to see her get to tell him now as a New York Times bestselling author 7 times or whatever, that, I'm like, what an amazing thing as a teacher who's now who's retired, and then to get that call, that was so special. But she started off with a young adult novel that she said was just awful, and then eventually decided to try writing like contemporary romance. And so what she said, like her goal was around, she said that when she first started like shopping her book with publishers, is that one thing she heard a lot during the rejection period was, we're looking for lighter fiction, or we're looking for lighter romance. And she said, this is her quote, I can't picture writing anything that doesn't have these more important themes, because romance takes place in the folds of everyday life. These are the real things that happen to real people when they're falling in love. That was her quote. And I just loved that so much. And so she was actually, her first book that she was shopping was Happy Ever After Playlist, which we now know is her second book. And she wasn't really getting bites on that. That's when she was getting some of that feedback. And so during that 9 months, she actually went back and wrote The Friend Zone, which was like a prequel to Happy Ever After Playlist. And then Friend Zone ended up being her first published book. And so she got a 3-book deal. She said she got 2 offers in the same day and got a 3-book deal. And so they published Friend Zone first, and then Happy Ever After Playlist in 2020. Became a USA Today bestseller, and then New York Times bestseller. She is still running Nadia Cakes. Carlos still runs Nadia Cakes. They're still so involved in that, and I follow all of these online. Their employees seem so happy. They seem like such great employers and very connected. And so I love that. But since then, she's basically published a book every year, thank goodness, because it's still not fast enough.
What would you do? Yeah, I know. What would you do?
Oh, my goodness, I know. Then Life's Too Short was in 2021. And each book really focuses on some real aspect of life. And a lot of times in her author's acknowledgments at the end of the book, she talks about if it was a friend or her personal life that inspired part of the story. So in The Friend Zone, she was writing about a friend of hers who had struggled with infertility. In Happy Ever After Playlist, she was writing about a friend of hers who was dealing with like complex depression and after grief, after losing a spouse unexpectedly. In Life's Too Short and Yours Truly, that she wrote about a little bit of her own autoimmune disorder that she kind of popped up with and had to really struggle with, a very scary time. Part of Your World dealt with a friend of hers that had been in an abusive relationship. And so I just love in all of her books, and sorry, Just for the Summer was also about like childhood trauma and how your childhood affects your adult lives. And then Say You'll Remember Me, the one that's coming out on Tuesday, is about dealing with a parent with dementia and long distance relationships and things like that. But what I love is she uses beta readers, and which we got to do, but also sensitivity readers. And so there'll be content warnings and things at the beginning of her books, but she's really writing about life and true struggles and challenges. And so I'm in her reader group on Facebook, and I just love how many people write about the connections that they have to her books.
I think what you're talking about makes a lot of, like, it's exactly what we like about Abby, is that it's not just soft romance. It's like there's meaning, and there's depth, and there's real discussions happening, but also treating those discussions and topics with sensitivity and research and knowledge. So it doesn't pull you out of the world, right? If you start to disagree with something that's happening or a way that something's being done, that pulls you out of the world of the book. But I'm just talking structurally. Yeah. But what she does so well is weaves it all together.
Oh my goodness.
It makes sense, and it flows into the next thing.
Absolutely. Her dialogue is just second to none. You guys know I love the witty banter. But my goodness, she can write an argument. She can write just sexy, playful banter. I mean, she's just a master of that. And so we have learned so much. We have had such incredible discussions now, wanting to become authors ourselves and working on this book. She's just been such an inspiration, and we just draw so much from her writing and the way that, her process. And then something we've touched on too with, like you said, oh, these are kind of a manual. That's intentional to her. One of her other quotes in an article I read said, this was from Abby, I think a lot of people learn how to be in healthy, non-toxic relationships through reading the right kind of romance. So I also like that she's taking that on as a responsibility, that she knows people are reading this and learning about what healthy relationships look like. And I think that's so powerful. And so we've heard, couples that are listening to our podcast together. And, I hope for that too. I hope that, you and I are still figuring out what a healthy relationship looks like. And that has grown and changed so much over our 25 years. And so I think that when I'm reading these books is like, I'm learning how to be a better human, and I'm learning how to be a better partner. I even had a friend of mine who just finished Yours Truly recently, and she was saying that it made her think of her husband's anxiety differently than she ever had, and think more of how she could be a better support and how she could just receive that in a better way or anticipate that. And I just thought, like, that's so powerful. Like that has the potential to change their relationship and their interactions. Because it's not something that she struggles with, but it gave her more heart and understanding of what her husband deals with. And so I think that that's just really powerful, of like, each of them are going to understand each other better. And like, we have Abby to thank for that. So thank you, Abby,
for us too. I think they've helped our relationship.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons we connect so deeply. Like, you can tell just me talking about it. This is an emotional thing to me. Like reading her books has changed my life. It has changed our life. And it brought us to the idea of writing a novel together, and just so many great discussions. But beyond that, in our own relationship, I think when we talk about, like, as we're reading these books and they have a big argument or there's some kind of a misunderstanding, I think in a lot of ways we connect and we relate and talk about our own relationship and our own life. And also just getting a peek into some of the things that we haven't dealt with before, knowing that she's done her research and she's talked to people who've endured these things. It just gives you such empathy and a heart for people who have, or if like many of these that I've read are things that I've dealt with as a child or in my life now. And you just feel so seen, and it just feels good to know that you have somebody who understands that way, and then you build a community of other readers who get it too. So this new book, Say You'll Remember Me, that's coming out on Tuesday, like, what would you say about it? I mean, what we can say of what, we can't give too much away, but
I won't say you. I loved it.
Yeah.
I think it was in my top 3 of hers, like, and for her latest work to still be hitting like that is crazy, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to bring up a minute ago was that I did find that Happy Ever After playlist is being optioned via films.
Oh,
so they've got
exciting.
A writer and a director who's won Emmys and stuff on it, and I'm just, I love it when good media finds, like, just new stories. We're getting a million Marvel movies and all this
fun too, but
stuff,
there's so much space for this.
There's so much space for something new and different,
and to see rom-coms come back.
Yeah,
I mean,
oh my gosh,
we watched the Anyone But You not too long ago with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney, and we laughed and we smiled and we thought, oh man, I've missed real rom-coms. Yeah, because that was my childhood in the 90s.
Absolutely.
So I definitely missed that, but Say You'll Remember Me, that comes out Tuesday, April 1st. Please pick it up, order it, find
What did you think about Say You'll Remember Me?
I really enjoyed it. It was different. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It felt different from her other books. And I will say I felt like it focused a little more on the lead female's family. I think, and what they were dealing with her mother having dementia. And so that was kind of interesting. It didn't feel like it focused as much on the romance, but there was still so much of that. I mean, oh my goodness, talk about your cinnamon roll. Dr. Xavier Rush is a veterinarian, which also just immediately connected with me because I wanted to be a vet my whole childhood, and I worked at a vet's office all through high school and college. And
so wait, you like the big, tall, stubbly face man holding kittens? That's good for you? That works for you?
You know, you could do worse, you know?
Like
but yeah, it was so great. And then he's in Minnesota and she's in LA, and they're dealing with a long distance relationship. And so it was a little different than her other books, but man, I really enjoyed it. And there was just so much reality in their relationship and their struggles, and then also just with what she was dealing with her family, and then him too in his life, and being in Minnesota.
I love the romance, of course. That's what I'm here for. But I'm also, I told you I have a million hobbies and things. I'm also a big time car guy. My first car was a 1970 Chevelle.
True. We talked about you crashing it into my neighbor's van.
And the car that was in this one was a
1966 Dodge Dart. She wrote it. This was a crazy story. This also went viral. She wrote this car into the book, and this was her car when she was 16. And so that's why she wrote it into the book. And it's like a character in the book. It has significance. And then she happened to be she was kind of doing a writer's retreat, but her daughter Maya, who's also in, social media famous and so talented. Oh my goodness, this girl plays every instrument. She's just amazing at the piano, hilarious like her mom. And she travels with her a lot. She had gone to a music camp and got sick. She's had POTS. And so she had gotten sick, and Abby and Carlos had gone to take care of her. And then they'd taken her back to camp when she was doing a little better, but they decided to stay nearby. And because of all of that coincidence, she happened to see a 1966 Dodge Dart in the wild.
Crazy.
Just like what she had. And they basically chased it down, talked to the owners, and she was like, y'all, I looked like trash that day. I was a hot mess. My kid had been sick. She's like, they were so sweet and let me come back and take pictures with the car the next day. And it was she just said that was so surreal. And so after that, she decided to go buy one for herself now. And I love it too. She got vanity plates, and it's Rom-com is the vanity plate.
That's fun.
But that's something else I'm sure you've been following on her Instagram and TikTok, is that now she's having it restored. So she's been going and filming, and the body shop that's doing all the work has been documenting the process, dropping that new engine into it.
I'm telling you. Yeah, no, I've been going through that process myself with my first car. That gold rusted 70 Chevelle that we cleaned up and made orange with white, hugger orange with white stripes.
Yeah. Redid the interior.
Redid everything. And
your dream is to drop the new engine into it.
It's coming
someday. But yeah, it's so cool. If you follow, they made her special hinges that say Abby's Dart and stuff. It's so cool. But I just love it. I love that she did that for herself. And this is just another amazing Abby book that deals with reality, but also a great romance and amazing characters who you can't help but fall for. Samantha, who made a short appearance in Just for the Summer, that's the connection to Say You'll Remember Me. She's a social media manager for a mustard brand. And so I think Abby wrote a lot of herself into that, and her quippiness and just wittiness with the social media posts.
It's very Wendy's, Duolingo, that style.
That kind
very quippy
tone and voice. Yeah.
For the mustard brand. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I just love her. I think she's the greatest, and I'm so appreciative to her, because something that was kind of a hobby for me has now turned into a big part of my life, with reading with you, writing, and doing this podcast with you. And so I'm very grateful to her, and I'm excited for this book to come out so the rest of the world can get their hands on it and hopefully enjoy it as much as we did.
Yeah. And if you're here, you probably don't need this, but you can see her on Instagram at author Abby Jimenez, Twitter, Abby Jimenez, Facebook, everywhere else, so go follow her. If you're a rom-com fan and you haven't read any of her stuff, you're really in for a treat, and go check it out. It's awesome. Where would you say the best place to start is? Because I know you started
I know. I tell everybody, yes, you can read them in any order you want, but I think the best treat for yourself is to start at the beginning with the friend zone and just run through them in order, because it is so fun when characters pop up in later books and you're like, oh, I know them. I know their whole story. I know their family. I know, that's always so special and fun to me. So that would be my recommendation, is start with the friend zone and go from there. She also has 3 novellas that we read that are so fun. She wrote one called Worst Wingman Ever as part of an improbable meet cute series that like 6 authors wrote for. So that was a fun one. And then she did one called The Situationship that's kind of the meet cute and brief little story of some of the characters in one of her books. That when you sign up for her newsletter, you get a bonus chapter that goes after part of your world. And the most recent one that she just released as a just special one-off on Valentine's Day was called The Fall Risk. And man, that was so fun. It's about these 2 people that live in an apartment complex that their stairs get demolished unexpectedly and they get trapped up in the apartments.
One of my favorites too. I know it was a short story.
Agree.
It was definitely one of my favorite because you could see, I like the pacing of it.
Yeah.
Like it all happened in a nice condensed piece, but there was still all the heart in there. It was amazing. She still shoved the heart and the truth and the love into this.
Which if you're anxious to commit to a full book of hers, start there. Start with The Fall Risk, and you'll get an idea of her writing style and her characters and her dialogue. And it's just a great.
You can fall in love like we did.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But so that's our Abby author of the week. We are huge Abby fans and so excited. We know this is going to be a big week for her. So we're excited to celebrate and just cheer her from the sidelines.
I know, I'm excited.
Another big week. But one thing I've read a lot about though with her is the naming of her characters. We've been circling this and talking about naming ours, and she has a lot of men with J names, which is a whole running joke about the men with J names. But there's just so much importance around naming. I feel like we feel a lot of pressure around getting it right.
Just think that as we're naming our characters, these names, they legit just set a tone. They could make up a whole backstory, right? Just tell you what their personality's like. Can tell you their nationality and what would be important to them. Symbolism in name, it's pretty in your face, but imagine you have a character named Hope. Right? And that means something, like as you're reading the book, like, oh, hope, right? But we also want to have phonetic appeal, meaning it just has to roll off the tongue. It has to be easy to remember. It has to be
one thing I was thinking is I don't want a name that can have multiple pronunciations. Like I have that name with Andrea. There's Andrea. There's just
Angela.
So many. Angela. Everybody thinks my name's Angela after I introduce myself. But just I like something that it's very clear how it's pronounced because, What
about accent marks?
Those are fine. I just think like I want it to be clear somehow of how the name is supposed to be said.
I like it. I think there's something there. And I think today let's talk about maybe the main character, like you said, maybe the sister, maybe the main guy if we get there-ish. I know in one of the previous podcasts, we even talked about our main character maybe having the name Anna?
Yeah.
Like
yeah. Well,
which is funny because...
Yeah, one of our early episodes, you just put me on the spot and said, give me a name right now. And Anna was what came up because that was just a girl's name that we liked when we were kids and we were talking about baby names. Yeah. And I've just said, like, I've been excited about naming our characters. It feels like getting to name a baby again. And so I just said that off the top of my head.
Maybe even more important.
I could be. My gosh, this is a big one. It's really important. But yeah, I just that name Anna has been sticking around just because I said it, and it's just been kind of an important name to us. But I do like it. I feel like it's a powerful name,
and we've even been kicking around last names and things too. So we talked about. Well,
I feel like right now it's the name to be.
It's the name to be.
We're not set on it, but it's been the name we keep kicking around.
Yes, and so
do you want to share it?
Yeah. So we had this idea of what if her name was Anna Jones. And
which is also a little symbolic because my maiden name was Andrea Jenkins, so I was AJ. I was always AJ, and then Abby Jimenez.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize it. Oh my goodness.
Well, she might be Anna Jones for sure now. But you said something the other day that I just latched onto and really like.
But the idea is that these characters might be a little bit older, 30, 35-ish. Yeah. And so they may be of an age to know who Indiana Jones is. Mm-hmm. So what if her nickname was Indy, and she could be Indy
Anna Jones, yeah. But her real name is Anna, I would think.
Yeah.
And then, but maybe somehow she gets a nickname of Indy or whatever.
They keep calling her Indy because she's adventurous, or she, I
just, the other day we were kind of talking about this episode, and I said, I just really like the name Anna and Anna Jones. We kind of kept kicking around, and then he's like, oh, Indiana Jones.
Indy.
And so that to me is kind of our name to beat right now. But I really want to have a discussion around this because it is so important. Like you said, it communicates so much about the character. And I want it to represent her. And
so let me float a couple of names then.
Okay.
Because I do have a list of a few that were alternates. And, these could change as we write the book. Maybe she turns out to be a serial killer and we need to change her name. But
I didn't see that coming.
That's a twist, isn't it? You didn't even know about that.
No, wow.
Yeah. Too much Butcher and Blackbird.
I think so.
But what if something like, I like kind of a more modern-y name, like a Harper or something.
Yeah.
Or even, I don't necessarily think she needs to have I don't want to say a guy name or a more masculine name like Joe for Josephine or something like that. Or
yeah, that's fun.
But that could be fun. There's some energy.
Or like a Frankie or something like that. Charlie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Could be fun, but I just don't want to give her that kind of energy. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like too that can be a little playful. Yeah. And I don't think we've described her as super playful. She's very type A, very in control. Yeah. So I just don't know about like a cutesy name that has been shortened to like a Charlie or a Frankie with a cute eye.
I-E kind of.
Yeah. But I like the idea of a more masculine name.
Okay.
Like something that's more gender neutral, because I feel like that's kind of her.
I mean, what if her name, I don't know if I like this, but like a Maxine, she would be Max. That's too masculine.
That might be, and it might be a little older. Like, I do think we need to think about things that would fall within the age range of like what were popular names at the time that she would have been born.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think something like, I don't know, like a Quinn, not to say that there aren't Quinns that are our age, but like that's just something that I feel like would not be as common though for that age range. I feel like a Quinn might be a younger person, like that got popular later.
Yeah. Quinn actually has a lot of energy to it. Mm-hmm. Like a Q sound, the Quinn.
Yeah. Quinn could be the younger sister.
Ooh, let me write that down too.
I kind of like that. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that. Yeah, because I do. And I feel like Quinn is more the entertainer and a little more.
Oh, it takes me Harley Quinn is where it takes me.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like
energy and silly. Yeah. Not silly, but yeah.
Maybe that's good.
Okay. Pin that for.
You write that down.
Yeah.
What do you think about something for the main again? And I do really like this name actually because could be gender neutral. Something like an Elliot. I went to Sally B. Elliott Elementary School, and
you still know this.
My autistic tick is to sing the school song every time we go by. It was written by Miss.
Oh my goodness.
Harper Hawkins, Miss H name, second grade teacher while I was there.
Wrote the school song.
Elliot, honor and praise to thee. Open our hearts and minds today. Visions and dreams supply the way.
I'm so glad that you're carrying that torch because that school got shut down this school year just due to enrollment, and that was tragic. But thank goodness its legacy lives on in you.
It's true.
What were y'all? The Elliot?
The Eagles. Elliot Eagles. Okay. Are you kidding? Come on. We were the Eagles.
Yes. Okay.
You guys, remember you'd come by and pick us up for the gifted class thing. And what was that called again?
Eureka.
Eureka. Yes.
Yeah. No, I did. We went to gifted and talented classes with the Elliot kids. But no, Elliot's cool. I would like Elliot for her because again, I like a more gender neutral name too. And not to say that she's not leaning into her femininity, but I just think too as like a type A businesswoman, control. I think that's a very strong.
I mean, love feels out of control, right? And so it's like her controlling personality meets love can create that tension as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's unique. I feel like it could show that she's driven, that she's creative. But maybe stubborn.
I'm going to put a star next to Elliot.
I also like it. Well, and I like it too because I liked Elliot from Scrubs. She was such
That's
a
a good
great
one.
character.
Yeah.
Sarah Chalk playing Elliot Reed. That was such a great, strong female character too. So that makes me think of her. It could be an homage to her.
That is a good one.
But yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put a star next to Elliot.
I'm kind of between Elliot and Anna. They're very different.
EJ.
She doesn't have to be Jones.
Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah.
Let me write down Elliot.
But I love Indiana Jones. I think there could be a fun story about how that nickname came about. Like to call her Indy, I think is cute because, like I said, I don't necessarily want something cutesy with like the Charlie Frankie, but if like there's a certain like reason. maybe her little sister calls her Indy, you know, like where did that come from? Yeah, it's this like more connected, loving. Only certain people get to call her that. But otherwise,
it was trope in romance books, right? Of having nicknames for each other is a very big deal and shows closeness in a very quick way.
So if he got to call her Indy, that would be a big deal. Yeah. But I don't know. If we named her Elliot, she would definitely need some kind of a cute sister nickname. But I just think Indiana Jones is amazing. I love it.
And it's memorable.
So much. Yeah. I've been so connected to it. But Elliot, I really like. I do.
We'll hold on to those two for a minute. Let's move to, do you want to talk about our main man or the sister?
Let's talk about the sister. I think we want to focus more on the girls this time. I don't feel like we know our guy well enough yet to name him. I think we're starting to get some ideas about him.
Definitely.
But I think we've really got to figure out who our female lead is before we craft him. And so I kind of don't want to put the cart before the horse by naming him before we really know who.
So then let me set the stage for you as where my brain is for the sister right now. Just like personality wise.
Right.
And this can change, of course. We're still talking through this. But I feel like the sister that's in entertainment, at first I had her as some sort of comedian in my head. But I think the more we talk about it, the more I move to like actor, director. You know, who did you mention as that reference? What's her name? Amy Schumer?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of, maybe not that stereotype, but that style of like that corner of the industry. Yeah. You know?
Just very smart, maybe a writer too, but also a performer.
Yes. And we also talked about some trauma possibly being in their past where, you know, trauma affects people a bazillion different ways. And maybe Anna, I'm going to call her Anna for now, and maybe Anna took the more control route. I need to be in charge. I need to never let loose. Maybe the sister who's younger protects herself with humor.
Yeah, we talked about that last time of like because of their ages. Because we talked about maybe the mom had like an abusive relationship or something traumatic that because of the ages they were, since we're saying they're about 10 years apart, that they each would have internalized that and dealt with it differently, and then how they protect themselves from it as adults. For the lead female, who is the Anna or Elliot or whatever, that maybe for her it's more I'm going to be in control and protect. Whereas for the sister, it's more, I can entertain, I can keep you happy. Yeah, exactly.
Everything's deflection. So I think she lives more in that world.
Yeah.
And so even if I don't necessarily want to give her like a crazy stage name or something. It just feels inauthentic to me. I feel like she needs to be a more authentic character that goes out as her name.
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm kind of in this weird cutesy, I don't want to say cutesy because that's not exactly right, but it needs to be a little fun. So like, any kind of like Chloe or Zoe we talked about. That kind of.
I still like Quinn. I mean, we talked about Quinn for our lead, but I think Quinn could be a great little sister. And it feels like my little sister Quinn, you know?
It does feel like my little sister.
Doesn't it? I like that too. And like we've talked a lot about how the little sister is going to be a lot of the humor and the wittiness, and that both will, but like she's made that her identity. That she's made that her identity. And so I could see Quinn being very like witty and sharp and, you know, great delivery, but also like a really soft heart, you know.
Yeah.
I think
Quinn's good.
Yeah.
There's also like Ivy, or I wrote down, did I say Hallie?
Oh, that's interesting.
Here's one for your Abby. What if her name was Tess?
Oh, there you go. That's fun.
Like her puppy.
Yeah. Or one. Stella. What if her name was Stella? Her name is not really. That's a joke. Do not attach to that. No. Instantly.
Jones?
No, you could never.
Stella?
No.
Oh.
No. I also have always really liked the name Kate, especially if her name was like Catherine. I think Catherine.
I mean, that does make sense with Anna now that you talk about it. There's very kind of more traditional names because they got to go together, right? You wouldn't have an Anna and then a my name is Onyx. It'd be like, would your parents smoke with
I mean,
babies too?
10 years apart, a lot can happen.
That's true.
I don't know.
True.
That's we were different parents for our 2 boys, and they were only 4 years apart. So
that's true.
Yeah, but no, I think that's a good point.
Kate, let me work Kate down. I do like Kate.
Like
that's a
Kate.
good one. What if there's something like? Oh well, no. This takes me to Twilight. Wasn't Esme a Twilight thing?
Renesmee, yes, it was a combination of Renee and Esme. Yeah,
Okay.
the 2 moms.
Yeah,
and so they made Renesmee. I'm not super on board with that. That was an interesting one, but I don't know. I do like the idea. Like, I think one thing that would help is if we can think through what the nicknames would be, because I definitely think that our female lead is going to have a cute nickname for her little sister. So if it's like Quinny or Katie, like there's going to be.
Would she though? If she's right,
I think so because again,
but it wouldn't be that cutesy then, probably.
Maybe not super cutesy, but she's going to have something that she calls her that's different because she was her baby sister.
Yeah.
If she was 10 when she was born, she's going to feel very motherly towards her. She's spending a lot of time protecting her. Like, I think they're those sisters that have like their own language that they made up. You know what I mean?
They're that close.
Yeah.
Do you think there's some, I know the motherly part, but do you think there's some antagonism there where she kind of pokes at the little sister?
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I feel like they're far enough in age that there was not a lot of competition.
Yeah.
No, but and again, just like if we did Indiana, with that, like the nickname for the sister might have been something funny that she did one time. Yeah. She might call her Popsicle or whatever because she, melted popsicle is all over or whatever. Who knows?
She melted popsicles all over.
No, I think she. Like,
now I'm interested in how that backstory works.
I'm saying like maybe they were out at a carnival and she didn't want to get out of line. I don't know, and she just sat and let a popsicle melt all over. I have no idea.
Sure, no, I'm with you. I
picked something random.
Supportive. I'm with you.
Thank you.
I support.
Yes, and right.
Yeah.
No, I just mean like maybe it's nothing to do with her actual name.
That's true.
But something that's just a funny story or something.
What about? I'm kind of. I'm drawn to Z names, so like a Zoe.
Yeah.
Like
you said, Zoe, Chloe, yeah.
But there's a difference in the spelling, though, especially in a book.
True.
So there could be a Zoe with a
umlaut, yeah,
or there could be a Zoey, which is 2 different things to me.
Very much, and I would lean more towards the Zoe if we were to do it with the umlaut.
Seeing that. And that brings me into all the Zoes.
It's more like entertainery, though, right? It's more of a stage name.
True. That's true.
What I think is that we're not ready to name our little sister yet.
Okay.
I think, and I'd love to hear what the listeners think. We'll, let us know if any of these names we've discussed you like, or if there's something else you're thinking that you feel describes what we've described.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely open to ideas. We do have a little bit of a jump start on the story in our heads and on the board, so we have a little bit more clarity. It's not just out of the blue, let's pick some names, but it's still, there's a long road.
I have to say though, my heart wants Indiana Jones because it's AJ for me and for Abby, and I think Indy is the cutest, and my heart is just growing so attached. So can we just name her Anna?
Okay, lock it in.
I love it. Now we just get to call her Anna. We know that she's Anna.
Just like Anna Kournikova.
Your first love. Well, I guess your first love was Alicia Silverstone, but you like A-name women. Okay, I like this. Thank goodness. Poor Stella, huh?
Oh,
there you go. She better change her name. But no, I love it. I love Anna. I love Indy. I think is so cute. I want to develop that some more of where that came from. But when you said that a couple days ago, my heart just has been attached, and I do really love Elliot. Maybe there's a best friend or somebody.
Elliot. Yeah,
man, I really like that. But I just think Indiana Jones is so cute. So maybe we need to watch the movie again to
honor and praise to thee.
I don't think we can have an Elliot because you're gonna sing it every time.
Open our hearts and minds today.
Okay, well.
Anna
Jones is our lead lady.
Yes. AJ, Anna Jones. AJ. All right, lock it in.
Maybe that'll be his nickname. Maybe he'll call her AJ.
Okay. Yeah, because then he's not part of the indie crowd. He's AJ crowd.
He might have his own. Yeah, might be AJ.
It shows growth for her that she's moving away from an old family name maybe into
Mhm.
something that he's calling her, just like a new
It's just
life.
something between them. It's something
Yeah,
special
something they own.
to share. But yeah, I'm excited to start talking more about him and get him just figured out.
Yep.
Got some
We've got some
good
thoughts and some
yeah.
plans for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, lock it in, done and done. See, that's
Andy
productive.
Anna Jones.
That is a productive podcast. We
did
locked
it.
in.
We
Andy.
named a lead character. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on this, or if you have other names that you'd like to submit for consideration.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Think about when we're naming babies, all the baggage that comes with names.
It's true.
There's so much.
It's true.
When you start to pick a name, you're like, I know somebody.
I know you always think of somebody.
I know somebody.
But and also, speaking of your own name, we've mentioned this a few times, but please go to our website, ournextchapterpodcast.com, sign up for our newsletter, which is technically non-existent at this time. However,
I mean, it's not that it's non-existent. We're not going to spam you.
We're not going to spam you, but I do hope that at some point we start putting out a newsletter. It's just not the top priority right now. But for anyone who goes and signs up for the newsletter, it's really an opportunity to get your name printed in our book.
That's right.
So that is right now what we're doing is taking all our names of our day one fans, our OGs.
We've got a pretty good list going already. I'm telling you. I've checked the database.
Thank you so much for everybody who's signing up and your support. But yeah, we want to have your name entered into our book forever and ever. So.
Come support us and get your name in the book.
Absolutely.
I love it.
But in the meantime, continue following us on Our Next Chapter Podcast on Instagram and Our Next Chapter Podcast on TikTok. We don't post as much there. I'd say we're more on Instagram, but we're hoping to maybe do some TikTok lives. Can we do that?
We still have fans sending in fake ads, so we may read those for our TikToks.
We do love the fake ads.
We do.
Good stuff. But yeah, tell us what you think. Most importantly, please go buy Say You'll Remember Tuesday, April 1st. Congratulations to Abby Jimenez on your 7th book.
Tag Abby, tell her we sent you to it.
Yeah, please tell her we sent you. But we can't wait to celebrate her this week. And thank you all so much for joining. Until next time, I love you.
And I love you too, even though you're not my primary partner.
Oh my goodness, I can't tell you anything again.